Okay, so thank you so much for coming today. My name is Joseph Driesen. I'm a director in the Alumni Affairs Office. Uh, I hope you're all have been having a good time with the Mentor Network this summer. Your matches are going well, your meetings are going well. Um, Believe it or not, we are at the halfway point of the program, which is crazy to me because I feel like it just started. But part of the halfway point is we are going to send you a survey. So we'll send you a brief survey. We just want to know how things are going. How are your meetings going? What can we do to improve? Maybe some things we can do in the last half of the program that can make your experience better. All feedback is good feedback for us. So send it our way. We'll be emailing that out probably next week. So keep your eye open for that. We have one more event coming up after this. That's part of the program. It's on Wednesday, July 27th, and it's called Inside the Interview. These are tips and tricks to break down job descriptions, really beef up your resume, and really nail the interview. So we're hoping that between our first event, which was kind of how do you enter the industry, how do you introduce yourself, in this event, that will kind of lead nicely into that final event. And, I think even for our new graduates and some of our alumni that are mentors, I think there's a lot of value that can come out of that last event. So if you have any questions throughout this event, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll make some time at the end to do a little question and answer. But I would like to hand it over to my colleague in the Career Center, Mason Bynes, who is an alum, went to the conservatory class of 21, and was a member of the Mentor Network last year. So it's really nice to have her back and sharing her wisdom with you all. So Mason, you want to take it away?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. I hope that all of you have been enjoying the Mentor Network. As Joseph had said, I've done it also when I was a grad student at the conservatory. It's a really great opportunity not only to meet your mentors, but also just make the most of this transition as you're graduating. So I have a fun little presentation where we're going to talk about your artist toolkit. We're going to define what that means, how to make the most of your artist toolkit, where to bring it, things such as that. But before we get started, I also just wanted to acknowledge the Career Center as a constant resource for you as an alum. You have our resources as an alumni. And so make sure, if you're needing help with figuring out what your next steps are as you're entering this workforce or as you're, getting out of this phase as a student, you're more than welcome to use our services to your advantage. Again, we have a lot of different services that we provide from our office, but most of them include advising and connecting you to the right resources, connections, and then even internships. You're still able to do an internship up to a year after you graduate, but in addition to looking for those job opportunities. But again, we always like to encourage you to think of this as a through line. If you're needing help with coming up with some type of strategy as you're embracing this part of your transition into the workforce and all of those things, we can help you come up with a strategy to help connect you to those right kind of resources and connections. And if you're needing more professional development, if it's in an internship or if it's within that first job that you have, making sure that you use our resources to your advantage. So just a small little plug before we get started. Okay. So on to the good stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about your artist toolkit, what it is, how to, build your tools, where to bring your kit, and how and when to use those different kinds of tools. So to go over what our objectives are today, we're going to define what an artist toolkit is. We're going to talk about what's inside of an artist toolkit. And there are a couple of workshop activities and self-discovery kind of opportunities for you to realize what's already in your artist toolkit. We'll also talk about what it really looks like and how to build your kit, where to bring your kit, and then again, when to use those tools and which tools to use. So let's get going. So first, let's talk about what an artist toolkit really is. So an artist toolkit is really just a summation or a grouping of your assets, which are physical and digital, your experiences, whether they're work experiences, performance experiences, production experiences, compositions that you've written, conferences that you've attended or presented your work at or talked with, as well as your skill sets, the identities that you claim, and the roles that you've had within your experiences that complement the work that you do as a working professional. So some of the contents that are within an artist toolkit have a lot of different categories. So some of them are your written materials. So Joseph was talking about some of the resumes that you would be writing, or your CV if you're a composer or a producer or performer, and all of the things that you've done within those identities. It's your cover letter. It's also your repertoire list if you're a performer. It's also your artist statement or writing samples if you're a teacher, your artist one sheet if you're a performer and you're trying to get booked or you're trying to get signed within a label. It's also your teaching philosophy or a diversity statement or any other type of writing sample that you would have to send within a job application or any other type of work opportunity. Your artist toolkit also includes your media assets and your online presence. So that includes your audition package. So if you're a performer or if you are an actor or anything like that, including your self-takes, your recordings, the video contents and audition kind of materials that you make. It also includes the headshots, your pitch videos, reels if you're working within the multimedia kind of environment. It also includes promotional materials. So if you're a singer-songwriter and you're about to drop an album or an EP and you have a press release, or you have any other type of media assets that promote the drop of that single or anything that you're writing, it includes that as well. It also includes press statements. So if you've written something or you've performed or you have something, a part of your catalog or your group of work that someone can write something about, it includes that. And then for your online presence, that includes your website, your EPK, your social media, and as well as your LinkedIn. Another part of your artist toolkit includes all of the other experiences that might not fit into these categories. So that includes your internships, maybe master classes that you've done while at Berkeley, whether online or at the college or at the conservatory, your performance experiences, both on campus and anywhere that you performed, your production experience, if you're a producer and you have a lot of, those project-based classes that you had that are a part of your reel or a part of your portfolio, that also is included. Same with composition if you're a composer. Same with if you're a dancer or if you're a choreographer and you choreographed some type of big showcase, that is a part of your artist toolkit. The networking events that you've been to, or the conferences that you've attended, or the unions you're a part of, or the professional networks that you're a part of, those are all in your artist toolkit as well. And same with any of your non-music related experiences that have provided some sense of professional development towards the career you're looking for. I always encourage the students and alumni that I advise to look at themselves holistically when you're thinking about your career, but also your artist toolkit. If you're a composer, you don't just have skills in writing music. You have skills if you've had to produce the performances of those original pieces that you've made. If you've had to promote that concert so people can come out and enjoy the original music that you've created. You have skills in business, that's production, that's design, that's so many different skills. So when you're thinking about the contents of your artist toolkit, make sure to think about everything that you bring to the table as a creative, as an artist, whoever you claim to be. Okay, so let's keep going. So your artist toolkit can also help you to show the world who you are, what you do, and what you really stand for as a creative. We're going to kind of break down these few concepts in a workshop opportunity. So when it comes to who you are, that really involves your pitch. When it comes to what you do, that's your purpose with what you're doing with your art or as a creative or as someone within the industry in general. And then what you stand for as a creative is your sense of preparedness. So for an example, if I were to put this together, the pitch I normally give when we're presenting ourselves from the Career Center is, my name's Mason Vines. I'm a composer, vocalist, and multimedia artist that's dedicated to bringing genres together in order to create shared listening experiences for my audiences. Outside of my practices as a composer, I'm also a career services advisor at the Berkeley Career Center, and I'm very passionate about matching students to job opportunities within the music industry. Some of my successes include commissions within the Boston area and abroad, interviews with BBC Radio and projects with the National Association of Teachers of Singing, the Font Festival, which is the Festival of New Trumpet Music, the Westerlies, who are a great brass ensemble based in New York, and a variety of other ensembles that I try to engage with. So I know that was a lot of different words within that type of spiel, but within that spiel, I addressed who I was. So I'm a composer, I'm a vocalist, I'm a multimedia artist, and I'm also a career services advisor. What I do, I try to create shared listening experiences for audiences by bringing genres together. I also try to match students to job opportunities. So that's kind of my purpose. And then what I stand for is really, the preparedness part, talking about the commissions that I've had or who I've worked with. Or what I stand for as a creative is bringing those genres together to really create a shared listening experience. So that making sense so far as about how those different categories are tied with your artist toolkit and what that serves, right? So let's take a few minutes for all of you to just kind of put together, maybe, write down what your pitch would be and maybe identify the purpose of your work as what you do as an artist. And then acknowledge your preparedness. So to review, your pitch is who you are. The purpose of your work is what you're doing with your art, maybe what you're wanting to do as you're launching into this first part of your career or as you're launching into the early stages of your career. And then your preparedness, that could be the showcases that you've performed at. It could be the internships that you've had to prepare yourself within that category of work that you do. Okay, so let's take a couple minutes to write down some of those answers. Does anyone have any questions about what that means or need any other explanations before we take a quick second? No? Okay, well, I'm going to play some jams for us so that we can listen to some nice stuff while you guys do this. So let's maybe take like 5 minutes and then we'll call a volunteer. All right, well, let's come back together. So I'm curious, would anyone like to share their pitch and their purpose and maybe the preparedness part? Yeah, is it pronounced Chela?
Chela.
Chela, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so tell me about it.
Okay, so I wrote like a short paragraph.
Yeah, that's fine.
So my name is Chela, and I am a trilingual singer-songwriter and pianist from São Paulo, Brazil. Through my music, I hope to help people gain a better understanding of themselves, their feelings, and their surrounding environments, while connecting them to their truth and vulnerability.
Gorgeous.
So, I don't know if I hit the 3 points, but
I would say so. So who you are, right? Singer-songwriter from Sao Paulo, Brazil, right? And then remind me one more time the second part that you said about how your songs serve your artist or serve your audience.
So I said, through my music, I hope to help people gain a better understanding of themselves, their feelings, and their surrounding environments while connecting them to their truth and vulnerability.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that's the purpose and it's the framework of what you're doing. It's the framework of your artist toolkit. The one other thing that you could do, so the way that you talk about, you kind of answered like what you stand for as a creative, but your sense of preparedness, that's where you can talk about maybe the shows that you've done or the concerts that you've given or who your like demographic of audiences, right? And how your songs really serve that community. But that was really great. Nice to meet you. Great job. Maybe one more. Let me scroll through here. I see some familiar faces. I'm saving you guys in my back pocket. Some people I've advised. Let's see. What about, Amira Garby? Are you on? If you wouldn't mind sharing. If not, I can move on.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Would you mind sharing yours?
I can share it. I kind of jumped in. I'm not sure if, like, after I had Chella's one, I'm not sure if mine is very different. I can read it. It's just
Shop it. Let's work it together if you don't mind. Yeah.
It's just, I think, one sentence so far. So, I died to be alive, and I want to impart that life through any creative form I reach for.
Okay, nice. So I think that could be probably the part of like what you stand for as a creative, right? And you could expand that by talking about some of your experiences, past experiences that support that narrative. I would also encourage you to tell me like at the beginning or work on this for the next time, but talk about more of who you are, right? Since we've worked together, you've got that kind of music business background, but also the singer-songwriter part. So you could talk a little bit about where your interests lie lie with that kind of work that you do. And then maybe the purpose of that, which is what you kind of hinted towards with the sentence that you gave.
But I feel like, at least from my understanding, like an artist kind of pitch is specifically referring to our vision as an artist, right? Or
Yes,
not?
of course. Right. But I still feel like there may have been one other opportunity for you to give that within that one sentence. So I would encourage you to talk a little bit more about who you are as an artist, like what part of yourself are you bringing to what you're doing? Kind of like how Chella said, how she's a singer-songwriter from Sao Paulo, but there's a specific narrative that she's wanting to bring to her audience as a singer-songwriter. And then at the very end for yours, that's where you could bring that part of that sentence. Does that make sense?
Okay, so basically, from what I'm hearing, we're not really doing like a pitch as an artist to our audience, but rather as an artist to other industry professionals.
Well, think of it this way. You're always curating your pitch to who you're speaking to, right?
Yes.
So if you were speaking to your audience, let's say like right after the Zoom, you're going to get on stage and like perform. If you were talking to your audience, then you would be curating your pitch to your audience as far as who you are, what you're doing, things like that. But within this environment, as you're introducing yourself to other professionals or introducing yourself to industry representatives, you'd probably want to cater that or curate that more to who you're speaking to. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Let's maybe take one more person. Let's see. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? Did Mercedes, did you answer? Yeah. Do you want to try?
Yeah, I want to try. So, hello, my name is Mercedes. I'm a singer-songwriter and music producer. I write and produce songs for my personal artistic projects, as well as work on other people's projects to help craft their productions. My goal is to create interesting songs that identify an artist's personal style. For instance, on my own single release, I showcase my personal inclination towards hip hop, R&B, and electronic music.
Good. I think that's a really great one. And I loved the last part that you put, because when you talk about what you stand for as a creative, and then maybe talking about what made you prepared to do that purpose, it really gives context as to what you're doing with that artist toolkit. Okay, good examples, guys. So let's kind of put this to the analogy of an artist toolkit. So for your pitch, you could think of your pitch as the handle of your artist toolkit, because that's what carries you into the room, or it carries the conversation, right? So we had a lot of singer-songwriters as examples, right? So your pitch was, I'm so-and-so, and this, I'm a singer-songwriter, and this is who I really write music for, right? And then your toolkit, so the body of your toolkit it's functioning more as the framework of what you do. So all of you gave a context as far as who your audience was, right? And who you're really speaking to, or like the genre that you're living in, or the demographic of people that you're trying to write music for or wanting to engage with. That's really the framework of your toolkit. Your tools are your sense of preparedness. So all of you talked about the gigs that you've performed, or the places that you've sung, or the people that you've collaborated with. All of those experiences have skills, right? And they had a sense of preparedness. You got to write the lead sheet. You got to put together the song. You had to produce the song. You had to record the song. You had to release the song. You also had to promote it. Those are all skills. So your tools are your sense of your preparedness, and it's the amount and the diversity of tools within your toolkit that are going to make you successful. Does that make sense so far? Yeah, so think of it this way. You're really aligning your pitch with your purpose, right? Who you are, the thing that carries you into the room, your purpose, who you're doing it for. And you can allow yourself to get prepared by building a diverse set of tools. So making sure that you're engaging in a lot of different environments, a lot of different job opportunities, so that you are building a good, diverse sense of tools within your toolkit. All right, so let's keep going. So we have one other workshop activity. So now we're going to see what your artist toolkit looks like. So now that you've kind of identified what your pitch is and what the framework, like the sense of purpose and your preparedness as to what really makes up your artist toolkit, now let's really kind of visualize it. So let's take a couple more minutes. It's 4:30. Let's take maybe 5 or 6 more minutes. So take a few minutes to draw your artist toolkit. You can make it personal to who you are. Choose your favorite colors, make it identical to what you want to do and who you are. But write down what tools you already have. So some of those tools could be, if you're a composer, it's music notation, right? It's all of your ear training stuff. It could be the degrees you've earned. It could be the things that inspire your art or inspire your work within whatever sector you're, within the music industry. But then also I want you to kind of write down a few tools that maybe you still need to acquire so we can workshop how you can get those extra tools. Okay, so draw your toolkit and then write down what tools you already have, and then maybe write a couple more that you're still needing to build. Okay, all right, let's put on the music a little bit more. All right, well, if you still need some more time, I'll show you my artist toolkit first, and then we'll click on one other maybe 2 more volunteers to share your screen and show us your artist toolkit. Okay, so here's mine. It's a little clunky right now, but I wanted to just show you the different ways that you can think about what your artist toolkit would look like. So mine's purple because that's my favorite color. And there are a lot of different things that are in my toolbox. So for me, I'm a composer, I'm a vocalist, I'm also a multimedia artist. So I've got some photography skills. I've also got some music skills as far as writing and singing and performing. Some of them all manifested into this little music video I made when I was in undergrad. I can show you a little bit. So that's something I wrote while I was a grad student, and I made the visuals, but I also wrote the song and I made the video and I sang and I recorded and all those things. I also have skills as a career services advisor. So, and I also have some of my songs that I've written and scores that are here, a couple of awards that I've won, and the degrees that I've earned, as well as some of the commissions that I've done as a composer, the instruments that I play. I have interview skills, same with public speaking. I was a commencement speaker for my undergrad a couple years ago. And then some of the other groups that I've worked with. So again, you want to think some other things that I didn't put in here just because I didn't want it to be too cluttered, but think of all of those kind of non-music related skills too that you might have that you could leverage towards what you do. For example, I love to cook. I don't call myself a chef, but I would say I have some skills in cooking. And when I was a grad student during the pandemic, it was like the height of the pandemic, I had to make my master's recital all online. So I made a recital based on the intersections of music and food, because there are a lot of similarities with cooking as far as that process as composing. When you have a recipe or you have a score or you have an ingredients list versus an instrumentation list, like there are some certain similarities there that I kind of put together for a music experience. Okay, so that's mine. Would anyone like to share theirs? Don't be shy, don't be shy. Or if you want to talk through like how to think about your artist toolkit, we can kind of do that together. Let's see. Well, I'm going to pick on somebody. Don't be scared. How about, let's see. What about Todd? Is it Glassy? Would you mind telling us a little bit about yours? If you drew it, you could show it up if you wanted to, or if you want to talk through it. Yeah, if you want to talk through it.
Yeah, I'm not really an artist, so I
no worries.
Well, yeah, this is really curious. So I'll just say up front that I've been a Berkeley grad. I graduated in the mid 80s, so I've been around for a while, and I'm actually serving as one of the mentors this summer.
Fabulous.
Um,
Great.
but yeah, so as a lifelong professional creative person who's been mostly self-employed, trying to live my life that way. I find that all these tools that you're talking about are it's really useful to assemble. And in my life, after I got out of Berkeley, I was a musician, professional musician for 10 years, and then I went into video for a while, and then I went and became a counselor. And so, you assemble all these great tools. And so one of the things that I struggle with still is trying to figure out when somebody asks the question, what do you do? Which is why this is such a good exercise.
Right.
My brain goes crazy because it's
Yeah.
like, well, I do so many things. And,
Yeah.
so having the elevator speech is really important. And so doing this exercise was good. And again, I think the thing I came down with is as a musician and just as a creative solopreneur, so to speak,
Love that word. Cool.
yeah. I have found that it's a great experience learning all these different things like web design and I see you're on Canva, it's like I'm sitting there trying to
Yeah.
learn Canva and you have all these skill sets. The thing that I and many people that I've worked with and counseled with, it comes to a point where when you're trying to do it by yourself, it gets really hard to be really good at a lot of those things.
Mhm.
And so while I may have them in my toolbox, do I consider myself competent at them, maybe to a certain degree?
Good point.
Do I consider myself, really into it? Like I'm into music, like, oh yeah, I love playing music. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta do social media stuff. No, that's, so you
Right.
find the things that you're passionate about, and it's good to find other people that can
For sure.
help you, because for me it becomes overwhelming. It's like I have to do all the promotion, I have to do all so while it's good to have an understanding of that and that in your toolbox, depending on what your career path is, if you end up working for somebody, then that'll narrow that down for you. But yeah, it's this life balance thing of how do I balance all these skills that I have and that I need. And so but it's good to keep growing them and keep curious for sure.
Yes, for sure. Thank you for sharing. And that's such a
Yeah.
great point. And don't fret. We will talk about when to engage the right kind of tools. And if you only have an Allen wrench and you need a hammer, like we'll talk about how to use an Allen wrench with that type of metaphor. But exactly, like you all have so many different types of tools that you've acquired through everything that you do, whether it's as a creative or if you've been in the field for a long time and you've done a lot of different things. So we'll talk about how to leverage those different kind of tools and maybe how to build other ones if you're still needing some. So thank you for sharing. Nice to meet you. Okay, let's keep going. In the interest of time, I would share some more examples, but I just want to make sure that we end on time today. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's go back, make sure I didn't miss one. Okay, yeah. So let's keep going. Now let's talk about how you can build your toolkit. So sometimes, especially if you've just graduated, sometimes it's like, well, I have these degrees or I just been in school this whole time. So how do I put them to use? Or I know I need a couple more skills. How do I build them? So I get this question a lot in advising, and I would encourage you to think about it start by thinking about it with a question. How curious can you really be about your music and about your profession? So the way that you can practice or apply that curiosity is first, just another plug for the Career Center, is advising, making sure that you come meet with a mentor, with the mentors that you're talking with within this network, but also the people that you have at your disposal at the Career Center, making sure that you meet with an advisor to take stock of what you already have, but also maybe what you need in order to develop a plan that will help you build these tools. Sometimes it's also in that first job or the next job that you get that you're going to be building those tools. You obviously bring that artist toolkit or a set of tools that you already have to that first job or the next job that you have. But almost in every single job that you take, there will be some small opportunity to build more, because there might be something that's thrown at you that you don't know how to do, or you don't know that you don't have the tools for, that you can put together an amalgamation of all the tools that you have to screw sometimes to screw into the wall, if you know what I mean. So the next part of that curiosity part is How curious can you be about the environments that you're putting yourself in? Are you seeking opportunities, whether it's a job or a performance or a gig or some type of collaboration, or even a professional development opportunity that's going to align with your artist toolkit, but also ones that will help you to build more skills? Another way that you can practice your curiosity is to diversify your form of inspiration. Attend several conferences or gigs or performances, or join a union or join a nonprofit or some type of engagement or collaborative opportunity in that nonprofit space, or other collaborative efforts and opportunities that are going to allow you to build your toolkit. There are a couple of other resources that I wanted to make sure you guys knew about also that will help you to build your toolkit. I'm just going to pull them up real quick and maybe reshare my screen. Hang on, Zoom is a little weird. Let's go here. Okay, can everyone see this screen? It says industry directories. Everyone see that? Okay, I'm going to put this link in the chat for you because I really want to make sure that you guys know about this. This kind of addresses also that kind of job search portion. So if you're also looking for more jobs or other ways to, again, build that toolkit, this would be a great way to do so. So this site is on the Berkeley website. It's a resource for all of you, even if you're an alum, all the way for the rest of your alum and career kind of trajectory. This resource is basically a list of businesses and organizations that support the community of what you do. So for me as a composer, sometimes that's Chamber Music America or New Music USA, and sometimes those types of entities will have workshops or conferences or opportunities for you to present your work there, or to get professional development, or find ways to, or learn about more skills or new tools that you maybe didn't know you might need that will definitely be a good addition to your artist toolkit. So to show you how to navigate this, depending on what your MO is or what your identity is as far as like an artist or creative or someone in the industry, choose what really identifies with what you do. So we had a lot of songwriters in the room also. You could check out the Songwriters Resource Network, or check out the Songwriters Market, or the Society of Composers and Lyricists, and see if they have a workshop, see if they have a conference, see if they have a call for scores, see if they have a submission link, so that you can really develop your toolkit here. There's also one other resource on this site. If you go to the Music Business Resources page and click Music Business Watch, I've shared this to a lot of students, especially some of the students that are in our, or former students that are in our meeting today. Let me put this to everyone. Oh, and this other link didn't save. Let me put this to everyone as well. Okay, so this is called the Music Business Watch page, and it's basically a phone book of everyone that's in your industry. So if you're also on the job hunt, this would be a really great resource to use. But I just wanted to show you, so there's an A&R registry, so artists and relations, that's going to show you a bunch of studios, recording labels, but they also have conferences that you can attend, or agents that you could get in touch with to learn more about. So I just want to show you what that looks like real quick. Okay, so when you navigate through any of these resources, it's going to, well, any of these links that are on the music business page, like the A&R's listing, the film and TV one, there's also a music publishing one. It'll start off by telling you like what's trending in your industry, things you need to know about your industry. So those are some tools that you could put in your artist toolbox. But this is more of what I mean. So this one is the film and TV one, and it shows you a list of international and domestic conferences and events that you can attend. So again, these are those questions we're asking of, are you really being curious about the environment you're putting yourself in that first gig or job, or the next gig or job you might have? Are you putting yourself in the environment of the right kind of network that's going to push you to develop those type of skills and develop those type of tools that you might need in order to have a very effective and useful artist toolkit? Okay, we have a couple questions. Can those of us who graduated from the conservatory pre-merger request a login for these resources? Okay, yes, Joseph. Okay, great, thanks. Cool, so this is a really great resource for all of you to take advantage of in order to really be curious about how else you can build your artist toolkit, okay? Any questions so far? Is this helping, making sense? Any questions? Let's see. Doing good? Great. Okay, let's keep going. I have a couple more things to talk about. So we talked about, your artist toolkit, what it means, what are the contents of it, how to build your tools or how to get more tools. But there's also a question of where do I bring my toolkit? And earlier we were talking about like, how do you discern which one to use or which one's going to be most effective? And this answer is pretty general. I don't mean to throw a platitude at you. We'll unpack this, but you're really going to bring your artist toolkit everywhere that you go. It's not just to the job that you have. It's not just to the conferences you go to. It's not just to the gigs. It's to this, mentor network that you have right now. Just like we were talking earlier, where we were talking about how you have to curate your pitch depending on who you're talking to. You also have to curate your artist toolkit depending on what job you're in, what environment you're in, what task needs to be filled. I remember when I first started, even in the pandemic, the height of, well, we're kind of still in the pandemic, but the height of the pandemic, when we were having to figure out like what tools we had to be successful as artists when we didn't have any gigs to perform at, or we didn't have any commissions where they were going to have an like deliverable, you know what I mean? You have to really assess, what kind of tools you already have in your toolbox and curate them to who you're talking to, where you're going, who you're engaging with, and what they do also. Again, you want to make sure that you're assessing who your audience is and what your environment is so that you can use your tools effectively. All right, and our last little piece here is talk about which tools to use and when. So let's say you're like 5-10 years down the line and you have all these kinds of tools because you had all these kinds of jobs, but now you're like, well, where do I use them? How do I use them? And who do I use them for? So I have one other analogy, hopefully it's not too many, but one other analogy for your artist toolkit is you can think of it as your like pedal board if you're a guitarist. So to go along with this analogy, first, you're not going to use all of your pedals at once, obviously, right? Because it would sound like this. Let's see. It's a little much, right? Apparently this guy's a Berkeley alum, Joseph had said, didn't know that, so win for this presentation. But you're not going to use all of your pedals at once. That's too much, right? If you have one task at a job, or if you have one gig, you're not going to perform a 1,000,000-hour set, right? You're not going to use all of your tools to do one kind of task, right? So it's really important as you're developing these tools within your artist toolkit to really understand what the purpose of each one would be. Second point with this analogy is that intuition is key. If you're playing a math rock kind of band, you're not going to use all of your pedals on your guitar board. You're going to use one kind of fader, you're going to use a flanger, or you're going to use something that's distortive. So again, intuition is key when figuring out what kind of tools you use. And again, you have that as an artist/creative. Again, let your pitch serve as the handlebar of your toolkit. Again, it's carrying you into the room, or you could think of it as the wood-based foundation of your pedal board. So again, the pitch, if you're a guitarist, your pitch is that you're a guitarist, right? And that's the foundation of your artist toolkit. And you're going to use either your distortion pedal or your chorus pedal or your wah-wah or your reverb, depending on the melody that you are giving, or depending on, the task that's at hand, whether you have to use some type of tool. If it's your resume, that's what you're having to use to carry you into the room. If it's your website, that's going to allow you to attract the kind of work that you're looking for. Intuition is key as far as what kind of tools you're going to be using in your kit. And again, the familiarity of your tools helps, and practice always makes perfect. So make sure that you're assessing what environments you're putting yourself in so that you can practice using the right type of tools, using the right type of distortion pedal, turning on the flanger when it's appropriate, turning on your reverb when it's appropriate. Again, curating it to the environment that you're really putting yourself in. Okay. So I wanted to end a little early just so that we had enough time for questions, or if you're having any curiosities about really how to build up your toolkit. But I also wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to really get connected with us. The Career Center is a constant resource for you as it pertains to your career, as it pertains to developing your tools. If you're taking stock, like as we did today, you kind of wrote down the tools that you had in your toolbox, but you're kind of thinking of other ones you need to build, sign up for an advising appointment with us so we can help you really understand what kind of tools you might still need depending on what job you're looking for, the gig you're wanting, the album you're wanting to drop, the contract you're wanting to sign, all of those things. So our email is here, so is our website, so is our phone number, and then also just make sure to stay in touch with us on social media, because we do engage in a couple of different alumni events, so you never know how that might benefit you, again, as it relates to your artist toolkit as well. Okay, so that's my presentation. I hope that was helpful. I hope it was helpful to just kind of talk about what this means, but does anyone have any questions so far?
So there was one question in the chat from Brendan. They're wondering, how did you get to the page outlining the songwriting resources? Do you mind just like navigating that one more time?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. I'll show you. Okay. So if I were to go to, let's just go to like Berkeley, anywhere on the Berkeley website. You'll go to the search bar and click industry, or write industry directories and resources. Okay, and it should be the first one. And I'll put this link in here just one more time, just to make sure that you could have a direct one to click and bookmark in your browser. But the way I got there was you just kind of scroll down, there are all of these categories, and you click the film, TV, composition, songwriting, and publishing resources, and that's where those lie. All right, does that answer your question? Good. All right, I saw there was one other in the chat, right? Is meeting with a career coach, available online? Yes, so you can meet with us both virtually and in person. And for alumni, I'm pretty sure it's encouraged to meet virtually. So when you go to the Berkeley Career Manager, let's see if I can actually model that process as well. Let's go here. So has everyone kind of been on the Berkeley Career Manager? If not, let me know, just message on the chat, and we can kind of go from there. So all of you should have access to the Berkeley Career Manager if you attended Berkeley, but you'll log in as a student. Might have to click away because it's going to show the back end of Berkeley, but of the BCM, but let me just show you what that looks like.
There might be some login issues, especially for, I think Joshua asked a question about pre-merger conservatory alumni. So there's some things that need to be either manually done or tweaked a bit. But if you graduated after the merger, you should be able to get your alumni services activated and log in.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But real quick, just to show you, if you haven't looked at it, yours is going to look a little different. I'm an administrator, but when you log in on the right-hand side, it's been updated. So you'll click career advising, and then you'll request a new appointment. And then you can set the time. So if you're wanting a 15-minute or 30-minute appointment, you can click the range, the location, you'll click Boston, but then you'll click how you would like to meet. And that's where you'll click in person or virtual. And then it'll show you which advising appointments are available. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, anxieties about Artist Toolkit? Anybody?
I've got one more question.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing us where to get to the industry resources. All of these things, if we're graduating in the next month and a half, is this the kind of thing that we'll be able to access even after graduating, or is this?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so you've got this for life, which is really great.
I'm looking at like the indie Bible and things, and I'm like, should
Yeah.
I read all? Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Speaking of that, since we have some songwriters in here too, let's go over what that indie venue Bible is too, because that might be one other extra resource to talk about. So if you are, let's say, some of you that have just graduated, a lot of you move everywhere, right? West Coast, East Coast, North, South, whatever. If you're a performer, or if you're even kind of practicing to be a manager and you're wanting to book some shows for some people that are on your roster, the Indie Venue Bible is a really great resource to help you understand what kind of clubs or festivals or college radio stations or scenes are within the area that you're going. So just to show you what that looks like, I'm going to choose Southwest just because California is a very popular area that everyone moves to. I'm going to put this link in the chat also. So just to show you how to navigate that, Brendan, as you were saying also. So at the very beginning of so when we went to that main page, it shows you the different areas within the United States. So we're in the Southwest area. So before you navigate, it will show you the genre tags for each area within, whichever city you're looking at. So let's say you're trying to perform a lot, or if you're a manager and you're trying to like book shows for your artists, or you're just trying to get connected into whatever scene you're moving to. You can look at whichever genre tags are there, but it'll also show you some different scenes or demographics of people that you can get connected with. Or if you're looking for house concerts or open mics or open jams or other ways to really get connected and maybe bring that artist toolkit with you, that whole metaphor, you can use this to your advantage. So let's say you're moving to Los Angeles. The way that this resource is navigated, it starts with festivals and concert series that you could look into or look to be a part of. And it'll also show you the genres or the scenes that you can be a part of. If you keep going, it'll also show you different colleges. I know this might not necessarily be a need right now, but see if they have an open call for college radio. That's another great way for you to get your stuff out there. And then moving on later into the resource, these are more clubs and venues, and they're all tagged by genres and scenes as well. And if you keep going, it'll show you different cities within the Los Angeles area, or neighboring cities within the Los Angeles area that will go into more details about what you can leverage. Okay. All right, well, if there are no other questions, please feel free to book an appointment on the Berklee Career Manager should you need any other resources to help develop your artist toolkit. Thanks for being here today.
Mason, thank you so much. This was incredible.
Thanks, Mason.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time today. I know even just from the people who volunteered to jump on camera and jumping into the chat, you could really feel how appreciative people were. And I feel like we have a nice toolkit now in a very metaphorical sense too, to take away from this event. So thank you again.
Of course, happy to be here. Please feel free to book with me if you need. Hopefully all of the metaphors made sense also. I know we threw 2 at you, but hopefully that helped. Great. Thanks for being here. See you guys later.